On today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, the MVP award is supposed to mean you're the best in the league, right? Not according to the NHL Network. We'll explain. A new episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. Make sure you're following us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter X, Locked On Avalanche, Instagram, and Threads. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. Follow us on our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live, and make sure you're subscribed to our subtext as well. Link to that's in the show notes below. And when you do chat with Kyle and I one-on-one, we get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, which we share on this very podcast. All right, sir, we have the stuff we'll get to today. We're talking colors. We'll get to that a little bit later.
Colors of the Wind.
Colors of the Wind. Good old Pocahontas, I think that was, right? Yeah. So we'll do that a little bit later. Gabe Landeskog, more encouraging news. And we get it from the golf course of all places. And where we're going to start, though, is kind of what I opened up the show with. The NHL Network did this is right around the time where we start getting like lists and power rankings. We did it with the network does it. It's Locked On Network does it with just, power ranking the teams. The NHL Network seems to be doing it now. And they did the centers, just the centers. And they had, and I was watching this. They were putting it up on their Twitter page, and I was because I really have interest in stuff like this. And I know it's trivial, and in the grand scheme of it, does it really matter? No, but for some reason, I kind of thought it was going to go the way that it went. And like I said, I get enjoyment out of this stuff, maybe for no other purposes that we can talk about it like we are right now. And they had Nathan MacKinnon at number 2 and good old Conor McDavid at number 1. And that just rubbed me the wrong way, Kyle. And it's nothing against Conor McDavid. I like Conor McDavid. You don't. You're not a big fan of him. I am. I root for him. I was wanting him to win because, like I said, I think the league is better when your superstars win Stanley Cups. I think he needs Stanley Cups to be and the end of his career to be up there with the greatest ever. I think he will get at least one, maybe. This is not a knock at all on Conor McDavid. I don't want to turn this into that. My thought was, you just handed this guy the MVP award and the Ted Lindsay Award. So the players in the league are saying he's the greatest in this past season. And that's what this list was. This list is not, overall. Because we want to have that comment or that conversation about, year in and year out, who's the best guy. We're going with McDavid, right? Like, he is that good. But if you are just going off of right now, that's what this list was right now. And since last year, you had Nathan MacKinnon with the Ted Lindsay, which the players in the league say he's the best, and the Hart, where the writers say he's the best. And then the NHL Network is going ahead and saying he's not even the best at his position. Make it make sense to me, please.
To be honest with you, I don't think I can.
Okay.
It's honestly, when you see this, it is lazy and like they did not do their homework. And if this was a couple years ago, you might have a conversation. But we've seen Nathan MacKinnon change his game and adapt to making not just himself, but the team successful. You can see that in the Stanley Cup season. But Nathan MacKinnon has made a turn. I don't know if they're going off just like face-off numbers, and they're saying, yeah, Nathan MacKinnon's terrible at that, so he's got to be number 2.
Okay.
But no, he is the number 1 center. I don't know if, and this could be one of those that NHL Network did this on purpose and said, haha, justify this. Isn't this controversial? And they put it up there and they want the debate for the clicks and shares, but honestly, you can go
Well-
back and look at the stats and look at how. Now I get for Connor McDavid to reach the level they did last year in the Edmonton Oilers, he had to put the team on his back and he had to carry a lot of that load. And this is the same conversation we have with Jared Bednar not winning awards. When you look at the talent on this Avalanche roster, top to bottom, you're like, well, that's the Avalanche. They're supposed to do that. When it comes to success as a center, when your line mates are Jonathan Drouin and Mikko Rantanen, how hard is your job? So that might be the reasoning behind NHL Network's number 2 and looking at Connor McDavid and saying he had to carry that team to the Stanley Cup final. Well, yes and no, but Nathan MacKinnon has adapted his game. And if you watched all 82 games and the playoffs, you will see his position at center. He has adapted and he's really, really deadly at that position.
Yeah. I mean, we were saying it before Nathan MacKinnon won a Stanley Cup. We were having I remember doing episodes and having the conversation, like, if Nathan MacKinnon wins one before Connor McDavid, would that, if you're taking that into account, does that put him at number 1? Didn't happen. And you can, okay, whatever. And now it's like, we're just throwing Connor McDavid there all the time. And I get it, but we've said, I really think that distance between the two of them is not that big as a lot of people want to make it out to be. And at one point it was. At one point it was Connor McDavid and the rest of the league. And I feel like Nathan MacKinnon do I think he's caught up to him? Last year, yes. If he can do what he did last year for the next 2 or 3 seasons, it is paper thin between the two of them. He had a great year last year. And I think if you're just going to do it for now, for right now, to start the season, it's like power ranking, right? Like if you're, are you going and saying that, if we're gonna rank the teams right now, that's like not putting Florida at number 1. It's the same exact thing. And I will sit here right now and I'm looking forward to the defenseman. You ask me if I have to hold the same criteria for the defenseman, Quinn Hughes should be number 1. And I'm a Cale Makar guy. And it's the same argument. If you want to talk overall and who you start a team with and all that stuff, you're taking Cale Makar. But if you're going off of right now, Quinn Hughes won the award as best defenseman. So he should be at number 1. So I'm really interested to see where they go when that list comes out. I don't know when that's going to be, but I think it's shrunk between the two of them. And it just like, I feel like you just get annoyed at stuff like this, that we just throw Connor McDavid up to the top when he was challenged last year by 2 guys. Not for Kucherov for this list anyway, but just for like the overall. But Nathan MacKinnon has thrown his hat into the ring of best player in the league, and the NHL Network doesn't even want to say he's the best at his position when he won 2 awards that said he was the best player in the league. It makes zero sense to me.
And then this goes back to a point that I was touching on earlier with Jared Bednar. How many times do you see his name in the top 5, top 3 head coaches? It's one of those that when you go and do your homework, you're going for the big names. You're just like, it's like they gave them this assignment 3 hours before deadline and said, hey, fill out a list. And they don't do their homework. Like with Bednar, how is he not, with his coaching job and what he's had to manage and makes this Avalanche team land on the spots that he does, why is he not considered more for greatest head coaches? He's one of the longest tenured in the league. You never hear about that nationally.
No, not anymore.
So when you're talking about best centers, you're looking at Connor McDavid because the rest of the team is not to his level. And you look at Nathan MacKinnon and you're like, well, that's a really good team. Mikko Rantanen, depending on the night, he could play to that kind of level. And Drouin has had an exceptional career because he plays with Nathan MacKinnon. So he's probably number 2. He brings everybody up, but Connor has to do all this extra work. So we're going to give him the number 1. It's lazy. Like you're creating an extra narrative. If you're looking at Nathan MacKinnon's body of work last year and how he plays the center position and how he commands a lead, even though he doesn't have a captain C on his chest, he is the number 1 center in the league last year, and honestly can carry that into next year.
I mean, if you want to make the argument, Leon Draisaitl's on here at number 4. So come on now. I know they're both centers, but they do play on a line together. Sometimes Draisaitl is not playing in the center position, but they always do on the power play. So there's is the number 2 center for the Avalanche on here? No, that's playing on a power play with him. No, I'm not trying to excuse the guys he does play with. One other point on this list. I'm not going to go too deep into this. Connor Bedard is number 13 on this.
There's your credibility of this entire list.
Come on. And another one that I am rooting for. I like these guys. Connor Bedard will get there. We don't need to put him there right now. Please. This is, it's literally going to be McDavid 2.0. And sooner or later, it's going to be Bedard and McDavid 1 and 2 on every list. And everyone else is going to have to fight for whatever. Some of the names below him, Dylan Larkin, Tim Stützle, Zibanejad, Nico Hischier are some of the names below him.
No, I can agree with Hischier. He's not that level, but Bedard being up there, that's 13. Suspect. Highly 13. Suspect.
Pretty crazy. So, all right, that's where we stand. Again, in the grand scheme of it, hey, he's number 2 as far as centers go. I'm not saying I'm totally displeased with that, but to start the year, if you're starting this thing right off the bat, Nathan MacKinnon has got, come on, he's got to be at number 1. And then if you want to put Connor McDavid there after the first week of the season, when you read it, go ahead. But can we just have a little bit of enjoyment right now?
No, let this happen. Let Nathan MacKinnon see it. I can't wait for next year.
All right. Let's get our first break in. And when we come back, more good news from Gabe Landeskog. So we'll get to that right after this. All right, first, let's hear it from Indeed. We're driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. So don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed, if you need to hire, then you need Indeed because it's your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work and use Indeed for scheduling, screening, messaging, so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. So join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of Locked On Avalanche will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support Locked On Avalanche by saying that you heard about Indeed on this very podcast. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. And if you need to hire, you need Indeed. All right, some more info on Gabe Landeskog, and I saw there was something going back to the NHL Network. There was something on there where I can't remember who it was. They were just talking about the Avalanche in general, and one of the guys on the network was saying how he was supposed to do a golf outing with it was a benefit or something like that. Landeskog was supposed to be a part of that. And he had to back out because he had to go to treatment or something like that, and he didn't get to go. And I remember I posted, that was like a couple days ago, and I posted, I said, well, just the fact that he was gonna go play golf, I mean, I play golf. There's a lot of movement, especially in your legs and in your knees, especially if you're walking a course. So fast forward a couple days after, and he did play in a different event, and he walked it all 18 holes. And he took, he wasn't just there as a body, he played the game. So to me, that he did talk to them afterwards, is what he said in a minute, but that right there, I'm telling you, I think that's a good bit of info that you can put in your pocket right now. That Gabe Landeskog is walking 18 holes of golf and swinging the club. I don't know what his handicap is, maybe about 80 times. Positive news, if you ask me. I'm just where I'm at.
Yeah, everything that when it comes to this Landeskog deal and his return, it's all looking positive. And again, to our conversation the other day, this is the most positive news we've heard on his return front yet. So this is what you want to hear. Again, this is 2024. Last time he was on the ice, this shirt was printed. So
Right.
it's you're taking it. This is all positive. And again, the most positive. And yes, walking a golf course and playing golf, that's some stress. So that is check. Like the
Yeah.
last real physical thing we seen him do was walk out there and carry the cup after they won it. And then everything else has been, I mean, he's not levitating to the press conferences, so he's walking to those too. So he's up and active. It's what kind of stress can that knee take? And that's what we question when it comes to his return on ice. But playing golf, that is also strenuous. So you're getting a good idea for how good this is going. And you can see in his face, like when he's talking, that it is positive and he's feeling good. So you're checking the boxes. We're just waiting for that return.
Yeah, he answered a couple questions afterward, and he said it feels good, and he did say, as far as playing this year, it's not a matter of if at this point, it's a matter of when. So he's going to be out there, and he also said like he's not putting time frames on anything anymore, and that's a smart thing to do because how many time frames have come and gone, and we have to push it back, and something else happens. But he's just like, no, there's a process that we have. We're just going about it. He feels like he's going to be out there. We heard what Jared Bednar said the other day. He kind of feels like it's more going to be towards the beginning of the season. And if he's playing 18 holes of golf and he's telling you it's not a matter of if, but when, it just seems like everything is going in the direction of an eventual comeback, at least an attempt of it. And you had which one of the Ball brothers, was it Lonzo Ball that had the same procedure? He's out practicing now, and the two of them, I think, had the surgery around the same time. So he's back practicing. I think he plays with the Bulls, right?
Yeah.
So, hey, any good news about this surgery, no matter who it's done to, and you see them coming back, you feel good for Gabe Landeskog. So I think, we're not there yet. And we're not saying, hey, he's back. We're not doing that. But everything is going in the direction of he will be back on the ice. And then the other questions start. But I don't want to get to those. But we're at to the point where we think we will be seeing Gabe Landeskog back on the ice in an Avalanche sweater, which will just be, come on.
Yeah, and that's where we all need to sit right now is with Gabe Landeskog. You're seeing everything. The boxes are being checked. Don't start thinking too far. Don't start. Right. The captain is back, baby. Don't start ringing, because we just saw what happened last year with Aaron Rodgers. You don't really know. And with this injury, if something does happen, what is the level of rehab? Is this something you can miss a game or two and then be fine? Is this a start from scratch and have to do this process all over again? That's something we have to wait on. But when it comes to the return on the ice, which is what we're focused on right now, all signs are pointing to yes.
We got a question from someone, and it's a good question, and it's a tough question. If we're predicting how many points Gabe Landeskog is going to have this year, what are we thinking? That's so next to close to impossible to answer because you don't know. You don't have that date. You don't say like it's going to be this date and he is going to have missed 12 games or 15 games. You don't know what it's going to be. So it's kind of a fun question because we can go back and say, hey, we got it right around when we thought he was going to come back and go for it. Just there's really no wrong answers here, except if you say like he's going to have a 100-point season. But well, what do you think?
His last season on the ice, when the Avalanche hoisted the cup, he only played 51 games. He had 59 points.
Sure.
He was 30 goals, 29 assists, 1 assist away from that perfect 30-30. Would you say half of that, a 60, like from 60 points to 30 points in a return? If you're getting anywhere from 30 to maybe 50 games out of Landeskog, would that not be successful? Like he was a point more, like just a tick over a point a game player.
Yeah.
Like, how is that bad? And if you're taking a little step back, like I could take a 30-point Gabe Landeskog return.
I think it's easier to answer this question by saying what you think his points per game could be. And it's more fun to just say, here's a defined number. right? Because he's a points per game guy.
Yeah.
And if he eventually gets back on that top line and he's healthy, why couldn't he return to that? You're just going to get that being with Nathan MacKinnon and Mikko Rantanen.
Let me give you 3 words that'll
Mhm.
that'll excite all of the cells in your brain. Landeskog power play.
Yeah, I know. Like that's his house, right?
Yeah.
So if it, I get, there's so many asterisks to this, but if he comes back and everything is healthy, and he doesn't miss a ton of time, maybe he tweaks something that's not related to me here and there, misses a game, whatever. Could he be around a point per game? Sure. So I'll just kind of make it. Let's say he's able to play like 55 games. Okay. So that's 27 games that he misses, whatever. Maybe it's even be less than that. Why he could have 50 points if he plays that amount. So that's the number I'll throw out. And just based on points per game, he probably could just be less than that. So it'd be what, like 0.8 points per game or something like that. They're not going to put him back out there just to be a body.
Yeah.
They're going to put him back out there because they're expecting production from him. Production from Gabe Landeskog is around a point per game. And if he's back on the ice, the knee isn't bothering him. He's back with the top line. He's back on the power play. He's going to be right around there again. I would have every reason to believe you could do that. I think it's in the realm of possibility that, again, if he's healthy and that he doesn't get these tweaks and stuff like that where he's missing time.
And that's something we haven't talked about. Like, Landeskog's not doing all this to take a victory lap, everybody. Like, he's coming back because he feels like he could produce as well. Like, he feels like the rest of his body, he could still produce to a point a game, half a point a game. Like, come on, even that is still a success. Like, if you did half of his point totals in his last season that he played, that's 30 points. Like, that's still admirable. Like, we could still live with that. And depending on it, like in a 50-game span, 30 points, that's a success. Let's go with it. So he feels like he could get out there and produce. He's not going out there doing all this work and all this grandstanding on it's coming, I'm coming. Here we go. Debut, 1 lap around the ice. Thank you, everybody in Ball Arena. This has been a great career. And then walk off. That's not what he's doing. He feels like he could still add to this team. So I can't wait to see what he has in store for this team.
Just a couple people from subtext. Joe said, I'd be over the moon if you could get 40. Still not holding my breath on a full return, which is a huge bummer. He's my favorite player. Let's see. Tough. Who's this? Is this Tanya? Yeah, Tanya. That's a tough one. I'm pretty sure at this point he's going to play, but for how long? If he plays at least half the season, I'm going to go with 32. If he plays less than 30 games, she says 12.
I mean, that could be possible.
That's the beauty of this question. Anything is possible. Vargar, who is just obsessed with Gabe Landeskog, for my man Gabe, 62 regular season points. Wow. I think he like 26 goals, 14 of which come on the power play. In the playoffs, 10 goals, 10 assists, and scores the cup winner in the return of the king fashion. But Vargar is going there. I love it.
It'll be Landeskog Arena if that happens.
So it'll be fun to watch all season long, no doubt about that. All right, let's get our last break in, and when we come back, a little fun third segment. What do we like for team colors? Doesn't have to be in the NHL, but are there just color combinations that we like that are in sports somewhere that we have always gravitated to? We'll talk about that right after this. All right, let's hear from Game Time as a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. So we talk about Game Time all the time, and what are the things that we love about it? They have priority Game Time Picks. Curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. The all-in pricing, when you toggle this feature on, it shows you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. You got the views from your seat, the lowest price guarantee, and Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policies in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms do apply. So again, create the account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right. So I just thought of this the other day because when I was a teenager, maybe like even before that, middle school and high school, early high school, in the 1990s, so long ago. Yeah. Everybody had the pullover starter Charlotte Hornets jacket. And the people weren't really Hornets fans. Maybe they were, but it was just that color combination that people loved, that purple and teal, and the logo was really cool. And they were kind of a young and entertaining up and coming group. But it was just that everybody had that jacket. And I saw it the other day, just scrolling through whatever, and it was there. I'm like, oh man, that just took me right back. I actually have the Avalanche one right over here.
Oh yeah.
And turn my camera. There it is right there.
Boom.
But it got me thinking, like, what are some other color combinations, like team colors, that we just seem to like? And does it make you like the team more? I don't know. You're not gonna like color combinations of a team you dislike. I think that just goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
Right. You're not gonna like it. But are there teams out there, whether it's college, baseball, whatever the sport is, that you kind of always tend to go to?
So orange and blue, 1,000% for me, because I grew up an Auburn fan. The Denver Broncos, like New York Knicks is my basketball team. Like it kind of goes. And usually if you see those color combinations out, like if you're like at the mall or something, you see somebody in orange and blue, your first instinct is that's a sports shirt of some kind. It's not, that's a style, or that's just a plain shirt. Like you're expecting to see a logo of a team on the front.
I mean, yeah, it's when I see orange and blue, I go right to Denver Broncos. But they've gone more towards the navy blue, than like that just regular blue that you think of. So, and I know a lot of people want them to go back to that blue and orange. It's just
you'll get that for a game this season.
You will, and when you see it, you're just like, man, bring that back.
Yeah,
but they've gone more towards the Auburn style over the past 30 years at this point, more than that.
Make it Bo Nix fill at home.
It's nice. It looks really good. Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, he didn't have the best career at Auburn, so is that? Oh man, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, his dad did though.
He did, yeah. So yeah, I have the Hornets down. I've always liked, and I don't necessarily follow this team. I've always liked the Florida State Seminoles.
Ooh, yeah, that gold,
burgundy and gold. Like, I don't know. And when I was a kid, it was kind of around the same time when the Hornet, everyone was wearing the Hornet stuff. They were it. They were so good in the 90s, and it was all those Florida teams, like the Gators, Miami, and Florida State. But Florida State was maybe it was just in my teenage head, like that was a team you don't mess with. And I don't know why the color combinations always stuck with me with that. Yeah, that maroonish and gold. I just like
that. That is so funny you say that, because me as a teen, I was the Miami guy. I thought that green and that orange, I just thought it like that work. White. Oh, it's like, oh, that is just, because it's such a good look.
I don't typically like green all that much on uniforms, but that one, I think with that orange a little bit in there, and the white, it definitely works for the Hurricanes. I'm definitely with you on that. Another one I have is I like the San Jose Sharks. I like that teal. And when they came out with those uniforms, I think it was last year, it was just head to toe teal. I'm like, that is awesome. Loved it. Love it.
I'm still to this day, I will go, like, one of the happiest colors that exists in hockey is that Seattle Kraken, like bluish seafoam teal. Like it, and that on the white jerseys, I think that is honestly one of the better looks in all of sports. That color combination they got going for the Kraken, it is magical.
They did a good job with that. Yeah. And I'm not just saying it because we had him on the show, and he's somewhat family, but like the main black bear is that like two-tone blue.
Yeah.
It's like the darker blue with the like baby blue, which goes even further. Like, and this is maybe I'm talking to both sides of my mouth now, because I don't really like the UNC Tar Heels, but that is a good look.
Yeah.
The baby blue and the white, it's just simple, it's clean, it looks solid out there.
I like what Pittsburgh's doing, where every team is black and yellow. Like my dad, he was a Steelers fan, and like when you see that black and yellow, you automatically think this is a Pittsburgh something. Like I like that identifying factor, really, and like cool. All those teams like have that commanding presence, even the Pirates, and you're just like, yeah they're cool.
Do you think any other city or teams should adopt that?
Hey, the Avalanche would not look bad in the Broncos navy and orange, and the Nuggets wouldn't either.
But we've talked about this before. I think the Avalanche colors just
they're perfect.
Rushed it. So I'd hate to lose that, but my God, I think you'd be infringing on the Pittsburgh aspect of they came up with that idea. That's pretty cool that they do it for other teams, but
Utah, there you go. Utah could run with that color scheme and just throw it on the Jazz and then forget about it.
Over on subtext, MacKinnon 29, he goes, oh boy, I'm going to read this. Hey, this is one of our subscribers in the NFL. I always find the Kansas City Chiefs red with the yellow accent uniforms very striking and underrated. Please don't bite his head off. I know, but he kind of has a point.
Arrowhead
does look good. It's a
Sunday
good
afternoon
red.
at Arrowhead. Yeah.
It's a nice red. It's not like your typical red. I don't know. There's something about it. And he's right with that little bit of yellow in it.
It's one shade under McDonald's.
I hate saying that, but yeah, right. But he's kind of right there. He also said in baseball, I love the Oakland A's green and gold uniform.
So good.
You like that one?
Yeah, because it's like Seattle Supersonics, like that green and yellow.
Yeah. Madam Battleaxe said she likes the neon green and blue of the Seattle Seahawks. Speaking of Seattle.
Ultimate
the old Seattle with the gray helmets, and then it was like blue and green in the whatever the Seahawk head. That's kind of cool.
I'm a big fan of neon green. If you can incorporate that in your jersey, you got my fandom.
Craig says besides the Avalanche, he really likes the Coyotes Kachina, which is no longer around. He also pour one out. He also likes the Kraken, which you said as well. We got another one for Kraken. Katie says the Kraken. She likes them too. Let's see. I thought there was one other one. Oh, Marie. Sorry. She loves the colors of the Colorado Rapids.
Ooh,
very similar to the Avs. Yeah, similar to the Avs. The lighter blue that they have. She's right on that. Yeah.
I love how they incorporate that in the logo too.
Yep.
Grateful.
Yep. And Vargar put up your Sabres, buffalo head, black, white, red.
That was attitude. Like Dale Earnhardt. Like it was that same color. Like
there you go. Yeah.
It's that same, like you look at it and you're like, yeah, this is next level.
Very nice. Very nice. So throw them out there, whatever color combinations and on teams that you tend to like or you've grown up with or whatever. Throw it out there. Want to know what it is. All right. That will wrap it up for today and wrap it up for this week. So thank you everybody for tuning in and always making it your first listen of the day. We always appreciate it. So that's going to wrap it up for the week. And we will see everybody on Monday. For Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan, I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. Enjoy your weekend.